Hello and welcome back to another Bible reading and discussion. We're here.
We are. We are after the weekend, and a good weekend at Lenore City.
We did have a good weekend.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where I was telling you earlier, I looked out as I'm preaching, look out at the audience, like, wow, there's a lot of visitors here. You realize it's really not that many visitors, there's recurring visitors.
Yeah, recurring, and have cast their lot with us, if you will.
Some have cast their lot with us yesterday, and we're very appreciative of that. The Lord is certainly blessing the Lenore City congregation.
Yes, if you're in proximity, come by and see us.
Come visit.
We'd love to have you visit with us, and we're not trying to steal sheep, but if you're looking for a church home, give us a shot. And I think you might like what we've got going here.
Yeah, or just come say hi, even if you don't plan to
just come say hi.
forever.
You can just visit. We're brethren.
We'll see you then. Right. Got all the underhanded work going. But we are in the book of Acts, and if you've been following along with us, or if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you for coming back. It's your guys' continued watching that kind of keeps us going. No one was watching.
I mean, we're just, it's like I heard once about leadership. If nobody's following you, you're just out for a walk.
Yeah, you're out for a walk. But we're in the book of Acts, and it's kind of been what we've been noticing is the life of Jesus being repeated in the life of his followers.
Taking shape in the bodies of others, in his followers, yes.
And the Spirit is being the leading role in the sense of, we're going to see later even where they can and cannot go.
Which is, that's what discipleship is about. And that's what Christianity is about, becoming disciples. It's not going through rituals and having some checklist stuff to do. There are things we do, and there are things we don't do, but we're supposed to be disciples.
And, one of your big things that you taught me when I was in school, and that you continue to repeat, is the as-you-go approach.
Yes.
And this...
Because you're always where you are. Did you ever notice that?
Wow.
I know.
You are where you are. But Jesus needs to not be an event.
No.
We don't mind events that happen to talk about Jesus. Events help facilitate the everyday thing. Like we had that one-day service where we invited our
which was
friends,
cool.
Which was great. But it only works is if Jesus has been already with you, and those people have been seeing Jesus. And so when you do give the invite, this isn't your first rodeo with them.
Right. No, it's like Sermon on the Mount. This is stuff that happened before it, stuff that happened after it. It's a big event, but it's got a context.
Yeah. So you see the consistency. And that's actually, as we're going to get into the letters, when you see the church kind of slow down and get comfortable, have kind of like, okay, when they settle, is when they stop focusing on Jesus and his work, they start focusing on each other, and issues rise. They start competing and battling, and it's just...
You got to keep our eyes on Jesus, which is what Paul says in Colossians.
Yeah, so that's like why the work can never stop. You've always got to continue, okay, what's the next thing? And it's not like event thing, but where are we going? What is our goals? What is our vision? And Jesus needs to be the center of that.
A childlike thing. When I was a kid, I never was thinking about, okay, I've done everything I want to do now, so I'll rest. I was always looking for the next thing to do. There's always something else to do. It should be that way in Christianity.
And unfortunately, as we're going to see today, sometimes when doing the work of Jesus, there are people who won't like it.
That's right. The light exposes darkness, and people who do the kinds of things you do in darkness would really rather they be hidden.
Well, it's why, I've always asked the question like, okay, so you don't believe in God. Why don't you just leave those who do believe in God alone? Well, it threatens something. There's some kind of threat they feel that they don't like, that those who are antagonistic against it need to squash it out or make it look foolish or whatever it may be. And so a lot of your militant atheists, the question, like, just leave us alone. Well,
I mean, why bother with us? We're just poor simpletons who don't know what we're doing. Just leave us alone.
And really, Christianity, if you look at it worldwide, has done more helpful things in helping others. And if you allow the teachings to just love your neighbor, love God, do what is right, it's good stuff.
Yeah, you can pick out flaws, of course, and bad things, of course. But, it's like the United States has been very, very influenced by Christianity. It's not a Christian nation. There's no such thing. But if you look at, we've got dark areas in our past and things we shouldn't do, and it's not like we're perfect now. But you look at the good that has been done throughout the world coming out of the United States through that spirit of helping people and sharing. It's just phenomenal.
And it's amazing the more they try to attack. I know this is almost getting into a podcast episode, but
we'll be back with Acts in a minute. Don't worry.
The more they try to rid themselves of the Christian influence. And it's not just Christians that are noticing it, by the way.
Yes.
There is a divide. There is a hate and an animosity that is in this country that has not been, and it's getting worse. There's no sense of kind of healing it. And it's a lot of it can be, and you can statistically start looking at when prayer was moved out of school, when the Bible is not allowed to be read anymore, and you start seeing crime rates.
And God we trust started to be questioned. And those kind of things, which in and of themselves are kind of outward things. But they represent a thinking that's behind them. That is really bigger than the things themselves.
Even if not everybody in the world was in the country was Christian, they had been influenced by Jesus' teachings, and Jesus' teachings are just, as someone once pointed out, may have been Gandhi, may have been not. I love your Jesus, but I really don't.
I've heard about 85 versions of that from him. But if he didn't say it, he should have.
All right, back to the story.
All right, Max.
So we're in Acts chapter 12. It just first got called Christians in Antioch. We've got our first Gentile, non-proselyte convert.
This thing's growing.
Miraculous things happen. The Spirit fell like in the beginning. People are starting to accept, okay, this isn't just a Jewish thing anymore. This Messiah is for all.
The Rome first thought that was just an offshoot of Judaism. And in fact, they expelled Jews from Rome over things Christians were doing one time until they finally figured out the difference.
So about that time, Herod, the king, laid violent hands on some who belonged to the church.
What church?
The ecclesia, the gathering.
Oh, just the church?
Yeah.
How undenominational is that?
Yeah, just the people who believed in Jesus and came together. He killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And when he saw that it pleased the Jews.
Oh, no.
So, once again, a lot of times they stopped because of fear of the Jews. Now they're seeing, hey.
Let's try this some more.
He proceeded to arrest Peter also. This was during the days of unleavened bread, which is one of the Jewish feasts. And when he had seized him, he put him in prison, delivering him over to 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, because Peter's already shifted his way out of jail before. Intending, after the Passover, to bring him out to the people. So Peter was kept in prison, but earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church.
I expect he's wanting to do something like Pilate did with Jesus and trot him out after a while and say, hey, this is James's brother, you want to get him too, or something like that.
A public display. And Peter, once again, was one of the close companions of Jesus, and he's been a pillar in the church so far. If you can snub, once again, it's kind of like if you can take off the head, they think. But what we're understanding is Peter's not the head.
No, and you can't kill an idea.
No, you can't. And so its followers are going to continue. But the church came together to pray. That's an amazing concept in itself, is that we realize that humans can't go and storm this prison and take out Peter, but we know God is not done working.
Yes. So 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5, talks about we have a war to fight, but we don't fight it the way that people in the flesh fight.
So now when Herod was about to bring him out, on that very night, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers.
They're taking no chances, are they?
No, bound with 2 chains, and sentries before the door were guarding the prison. And behold, an angel of the Lord, literally just a messenger, stood next to him, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him up. I just imagine,
hey.
That's just one of the funniest pictures. Like,
let's go.
Saying, get up quickly. And the chains fell off his hands. And the angel said to him, dress yourself, put on your sandals. And he did so. He said to him, wrap your cloak around you and follow me. He went out and followed him. He did not know that what was about to be done by the angel was real. He did not know that what was being done by the angel was real, but thought he was seeing a vision. And this would be his first vision. When they had passed the first and the second guard, they came to the iron gate leading into the city. It opened for them of its own accord.
So he's walking by all these soldiers and gates opening up and all that. Good luck with trying to keep him in there.
So they went out, went along one street, and immediately the angel left him. When Peter came to himself, he said, so it's almost like he's in
whoa, I'm out.
Sleepwalking, in a sense. Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and all that the Jewish people were expecting. So we're seeing an answered prayer here. I'm going to turn it over to
me.
You. It's a short chapter.
And when he realized this, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, who was also called Mark, where many were gathered together and were praying. When he knocked on the door of the gate, a servant girl named Rhoda came to answer. When she recognized Peter's voice because of her joy, she didn't open the gate, but ran in and announced that Peter was standing in front of the gate. They said to her, "You're out of your mind." So they're praying, but they're still human. And it's like, yeah, we know God can do stuff, and he does. But she kept insisting that it was so. They kept saying, "It's an angel." But Peter continued knocking. And when they had opened the door, they saw him and they were amazed. This is such an interesting overlap between the unseen world and the seen world, and the miraculous and the everyday, and how that it's just hard to zero in on all that God can do and take it into yourself.
Well, when Paul says he can do above and beyond all that you can imagine and all that you could ever ask, what they were hoping may have been somehow providentially. They let him go. He was declared guiltless, and they, maybe gave him a couple floggings like they did before and let him out. I mean, that's probably what they're expecting.
Yeah.
They're not expecting
the big one.
We can't really blame them.
No.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm praying for Peter, I'm not thinking this.
He's going to show up at the door. Yeah, I know. But motioning with them with his hand to be silent, he described to them how the Lord led him out of prison. He gives credit to the Lord, even though the angels are doing it. It's the Lord that's behind this. And he said, "Report these things to James and the brethren." And he left and went to another place. So carrying on, get the word out. They can't stop this. We're moving on.
And Peter doesn't miss a step. He just
keeps going. Yeah. He's a new man in so many ways. Now, when day came, there was no small disturbance among the soldiers. And so what could have become of Peter? When Herod had searched for him and had not found him, he examined the guards, which is not a pleasant thing, and ordered them that they be led away to execution. Then he went down from Judea to Caesarea, spending time there. So he's furious.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we get enamored by like the Mission Impossible movies where people sneak in, unsuspecting, can get in, steal something, and leave. Yeah. That didn't happen.
No.
And especially during this age. He's chained to 2 guards. Yeah. You may have been able to convince one of them to unlock their shackles, but also the gate, plus the sentries, plus the iron gate,
everything.
the open.
I know, the whole package there. And even Peter's kind of like in a daze while this is going on.
Yeah.
Now he's very angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon, and with one accord they came to him, and having won over Blastus, the king's chamberlain, they were asking for peace because their country was fed by the king's country. On an appointed time, Herod, having put on his royal apparel, took a seat on the rostrum and began delivering an address to them. So he's entertaining pleas from folks that are wanting help from him. He's got his best stuff on, and he's there, putting on the dog and going to talk to these people. And these people who are wanting to get stuff from him are going to flatter him. They kept crying out with a voice, "The voice of a God and not of a man." And he's loving this.
Yeah.
And immediately an angel of the Lord struck him because he did not give God the glory, and he was eaten by worms and died. Here's this guy who's, on one hand, he's got Peter in jail. He seems to be in control. He's killed people, and next thing you know, he's dead.
You think we could learn something from this?
Possibly so.
The fact that no matter what we do, like even Daniel, I'm always amazed. Daniel, when he's with Nebuchadnezzar, "Hey, how'd you do this?" He goes,
"I didn't do it.
If it weren't for God."
No.
And though we may not have the miraculous given by God, but we also need to understand that even our gifts, I happen to have a good memory and a good communication skill that at least serves me well for preaching. People go, "Wow, I'm like, I don't know. God blessed me with one gift in my life.
You got some good DNA going for you there.
I'm going to use it for His glory, but it's God who gets the credit. He gave me the material. He gave me the book.
You can't make your brain be what it is.
No. And
you can use it.
And so we need to constantly be realizing and thanking God When something great happens, it's not me, it's not you, it's not us. It's God working through.
We're just bit players in a much bigger story.
Yeah.
But the word of the Lord continued to grow and be multiplied, and Barnabas and Saul returned from Jerusalem when they had fulfilled their mission, taking along with them John, who is also called Mark. So we've got missionary journeys going on. We got the church is expanding. Those who are trying to stop it, I don't think so. Yeah. And there are persecutions, but at the end of the day, Jesus' cause wins.
Yeah. And, Jesus kind of predicted this.
He did.
Go, trust, I'll tell you what to say, I'll send you where to go. I will make sure this message gets out. You just go. And I'll protect you along the way. And he did. In as much as until their time was done. James, his time was done. Peter, at one time, his time will be done. And one day, our day will be done.
It will be.
So our job is to get the next generation going and to get them sending out.
See what God's going to do? We don't always know, but we know that he will. We don't always know how. In fact, rarely know how, but we know that it will. And I know you would agree with this. You look back and you say, wow, who would have figured that?
Yeah. It's hard to see how God is working right now. But it's very easy to look back and go, wow,
I know.
I could not have done that.
No, I know what you mean.
Without God. Or Paul sometimes says, perhaps.
Perhaps.
All right, well, there's Acts chapter 12. We're now about to make the major transition into Paul's missionary journeys, major missionary journeys.
On the road.
He's going to get on the road with Barnabas and John Mark for a little bit.
For a little bit.
We'll get there.
And we'll see a side of Paul that may not be his finest hour.
No.
He's not a perfect man.
Yeah, we got to recognize all of these characters are faced with the same human limitations that we are. We can't put these guys on pedestals. They are people that God used who just trusted in the Lord, and they are going to make mistakes.
Yes.
Not everything they do is always going to be exactly what God would want them to do, but God will still work through them.
We'll sometimes put Peter over here and say, but there's Paul. They both have their shortcomings. They're different.
Yeah.
But they both have their shortcomings. They both have their strengths as well. And they're both used by Jesus for good.
We're going to see when we get to, Paul in 2 Peter, he was struggling with pride, I believe. Why God kept that thorn in the flesh was you need to stay humble.
I know. Paul gets whacked to kind of bring him in line.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, there is Acts chapter 12, short and sweet, but it just goes to show God's protection over his people.
Yes.
And the answering of prayer. So, we love you.
Yes, we do.
Please go ahead and like this, share, heart, comment, all the things to get this message out. Love you. God bless.
Bye-bye.